Okay.
Are we live? Are we rolling? Is this happening?
I honestly don't know how you're cold in here. Like,
Thanks for my blanket.
I am sweating.
Oh, it's kind of cold in here. I had goosebumps, but now I'm good and covered.
That's so crazy.
Thanks, friend.
By the way, this is either going to be the most incredible episode of the Totally Spoiled podcast ever, or I'm giving you options, or it's going to be the most all over the road episode, or
that could be fun.
You're going to be able to count how many times I go trying to pull a thought together. I am so hot. I'm going on 24 hours of a Benadryl bender right now.
Why are you on Benadryl?
So, I did the photo shoot yesterday for Hyundai.
Yeah? Did you get stung by a bee or something?
No, but I got bit by ants, and I'm allergic to red ants. I think it was ants. We were in this really cool, scenic place, Cypress Lake Park, I want to say. I didn't even know it existed.
Where it's like a park. It's kind of like a beachy area.
Yeah, it's kind of like on the end, like at the water.
Right.
I had no idea it was there.
Yeah,
but they found it, and it was perfect for palm trees and stuff. But it was all like dirt and grassy area, and I got bit by something, and I'm allergic to them. So pop some Benadryl, which Benadryl makes you all loopy.
So you might start speaking some Spanish for once this time.
Spanish. I might start speaking in tongues during this podcast. Who knows what's going to happen? By the way,
all right. I'm excited about this.
By the way, what did your text mean?
Oh, my. Yeah. I was like, rude. You're not going to reply back. Oh, when I said I was an idiot?
I told you I'm looped up on Benadryl.
Look, I'll give you a hall pass, okay? Because I know how that's like. I've been there, done that too many times, and it's not pleasant. Yeah, so remember when I told you I was texting you because I was having nightmares and I couldn't sleep because freaking Sinner is messing with me?
Because you texted me saying the Sinner is so scary.
It is. So guess what I did? I watched the second one thinking it's the first one. So, I mean, we're just going to go ahead and spoil it. I'll go ahead and start off with it. It literally starts with snapshots.
Stop!
Oh, my God,
Stop!
You're yelling already.
Stop!
Oh, God, is this the Benadryl? No, it's Brian.
That's just
Brian. It's just Brian.
We're going to talk about the Sinner coming up here on the Totally Spoiled podcast. All
right, I forgot. The OCD has not worn off thanks to the Benadryl.
Right? It's
you need a stronger dosage.
We're going to talk about farting while dancing.
What is it with popping pimples and farting and all these pleasant
you watch So You Think You Could Dance, right?
Oh!
Yeah! Okay.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was great. Talk about comfortability.
Thank you. And I'm still scratching. This is how bad I'm like my ankle. I am scratching. You can watch on the YouTube channel the entire time. I'm going to be scratching during this podcast.
This is going to be fun.
Thank you for following and subscribing to the Totally Spoiled podcast. Of course, you can check it out on YouTube as well. Let's do some spoiling now.
Okay. Oh, now we're good?
Wait.
Now we're good.
Wait. Now. Wait.
Now.
So at Brian Fink, at April on air. As I said, thank you so much for subscribing to the Totally Spoiled podcast, and whether it's on iHeartRadio or iTunes or you watch it on YouTube. Let's go right into the Sinner. So the issue that you had was you missed episode 1 because season 2 has started.
Jeez, now you've got me itching. Sorry, side note.
Maybe it's
what is going on? Get away from me.
Look! Oh my God! Look how blown up it is.
You're swelling.
Oh my God! Wow, I gotta pop some more. I told you. So I had this. This was probably about, I'd say, 10 years ago. We were doing a 4th of July at the pier in St. Pete, and I got bit by red ants all over my ankle. And I had to do a club gig at AMP later that night. And so I went, and I was scratching, and I kind of popped them because they were already pussy.
Like that bad?
Yeah, and I popped them, which you're not supposed to do. And then the next morning, and I was walking around all night on it. The next morning I came to work, and my ankle was the size of a softball.
Oh, my God.
So I left. I go to the hospital. They're like, listen, you've got 2 options. We can either take care of this and you got to stay at home for 7 days and recover from this, or you can stay in the hospital. We put you on IV and you'll be good to go in 2 or 3 days. I'm like, put me in the hospital. So I was in the hospital for...
That bad?
I'm allergic to red ants and bites. I've had a spider bite me, and you could see the trail going up to my heart. Oh yeah.
Gosh. Well, so it's not just red ants.
No, I'm allergic to a bunch of insects. Yeah. So I should probably carry an EpiPen or Benadryl with me wherever I go.
Probably should. I do that minus the EpiPen.
So who knows? I might literally like drop dead during this podcast, which would probably get clicks. Which would totally.
God. Is that what we've come to?
That is what we've come to.
For literally our life is on the line for clicks.
I might. Okay, so what were we talking about? The Sinner.
The Sinner. Sorry,
So,
I just started itching.
You missed.
Ugh.
You missed season 1. You jumped right to season 2, which is fine because it's totally different storyline.
Yeah.
And you missed episode 1, and you started watching episode 2. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah. Okay.
Did you not notice that they gave you like flashbacks at the beginning?
Okay, I already said I'm an idiot when I got no response from you. So
I like how you throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep throwing it at you to make me feel more like an idiot. Jeez, why do I put myself through this every week? Ugh. So yeah, I'm wondering, mind you, watching what I thought was episode 1. Okay, maybe they're going to recap later. Like, these flashbacks are meant for maybe a show or 2 down the road. Like, when you see the snapshots of the mom and dad on the floor, dead with
quote
rocks.
unquote mom and dad.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Right.
We're going to get into that.
Right.
Dead on the ground with rocks in
on
their
their
eyes. And you
yeah.
hear about the plant and the poison and the kid that poisoned them. And
But can I just stop you right there really quick? Didn't you notice at the beginning of the episode they had a recap?
Look, I already said I had a blonde moment. Not offending any blondes out there. Okay.
Well, we just lost the 2 blondes that listen to the Totally Spoiled podcast. Thanks a lot, April.
I used to be blonde myself, so.
Did you really?
I showed you. I was blonde.
Like legit blonde?
Yes, like when I went to visit Canada last year. Not lying. I was.
Wow, I got to see those
blonde.
pictures. I can't
Yeah, I'll have
picture
to
that.
show you. I thought I showed you.
No, I don't think you showed me those.
I was blonde.
Blonde.
Like blonde with 5, 10 E's at the
like
end.
Jewish grandma blonde. I am so verklempt right now. I'm blonde.
You're Jewish, so you can do this.
The crazy thing is watching The Sinner, the new episodes on USA, watching them live like weekly, you get so used to Netflix and being able to skip the intro that when you see the intro, it's like, wait, this show had an intro?
Right?
I didn't even know it had an intro.
No, it's crazy.
Which you obviously didn't pay attention to either because they recapped episode 1 at the beginning of episode 2.
Can we cut this show short, please? Can we please? I'm done with the bullying right now.
Bullying?
I'm over it. I'm over it.
Okay, so did you go back and watch episode 1?
Yeah, after 30 minutes, and I'm like, why does this have the same intro as show 2? I was really, really confused for a long time.
Doesn't surprise me. So let's talk about episode 1. Which this season is really shaping up to be good. And you texted me talking about how scary it was.
Do you agree with me now? Or
no. I mean, it's creepy. Like this whole cult thing, which we learned about in episode 2, and the mom and even the kid, they're creepy.
But okay, I feel like we're going to delve into this show for the whole time because it's just so loaded. The parents that died, were those the actual parents?
Okay, hold on. Did you watch episode 2 once you finished watching?
So I watched 2 and then I watched 1.
But you said you stopped 30 minutes in. Did you finish episode 2?
Yes, I finished both of them, but I watched 2 first, and then I watched 2 again for the first 30 minutes.
Okay, so April has started taking notes.
I took notes.
But obviously it's not working.
Oh my god.
Because you learn that the 2 parents aren't his parents. They are just 2 people that are in the cult, and or whatever it is, and they take care. The mom says it. They take care of him sometimes.
I don't know if this is some mind stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the F word. I feel like I'm. By the way, it's first day of school over here. I feel like I'm in school again.
Which I took my kid to school this morning.
Brian, I'm over it. Brian, get your life.
You didn't see the picture of Tucker with his backpack?
Oh, dear Lord God.
Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I am Brian Fink.
Correction, follow his cats, because that's what you're going to be following.
Forget me.
Way to tease you. What about your kids? What a horrible father.
I am. I'm a horrible father. Follow at Aiden and Tucker on Instagram.
That's more like
for the best Instagram account anywhere.
Side note, I need you to find a cat home for another cat friend of mine
that's not
later.
gonna happen.
So yeah, no.
Okay,
no,
so back to episode 1.
Yes.
So let's start with episode 1.
So that okay.
Episode
fine,
1.
Fine.
The real episode 1, not your episode 1. So
Yes.
episode 1, we learn, I mean, it gets pretty much into it with Julian poisoning the two people that we think are his parents
Right.
with a brutal death scene.
Yeah, that
Them
was rough.
convulsing and blood. I mean, that was a brutal death scene.
That was rough.
Did you know that Jimson weed, which is what he used in the tea, did you know that's real?
Did you look it up?
Yeah, so I read a blog about it. So that's a real thing, and I guess it grows in New York.
Oh, shoot.
But what's crazy is supposedly the death, the way it kills you, is slower and worse. Supposedly you start hallucinating on it. And this was something that they were trying to figure out how they were going to do the death scene with the poisoning.
To make it as realistic as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the convulsions and everything, that's real.
And the spewing in the mouth.
Yeah, that's all real, but it happens at a slower pace. So you wouldn't really know, I guess, who poisoned you, because if somebody poisons you in the morning, it could happen like in the afternoon.
Shoot, like long.
Well, I don't know how long, but I'm just saying it takes
possible.
a process.
Yeah.
But they obviously needed to speed it up, and then they
Right.
left out the hallucinating because they didn't really know the best way to do that.
Yeah.
So they left that part out.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Jimson weed is a real thing, which is crazy, and that's what he used. He picked it along the side of the road,
Right.
and put it in their tea.
Oh my gosh. So then the question is, how did the kid know that it would work? When you go back and you look to some of the questions that Detective Ambrose is asking, and one of the things he actually shows, I guess he had some interaction with it as well, and it makes you break out pretty bad on your skin. But
And he noticed that on Julian.
Exactly. So when he noticed that on the kid, he had I don't know how he put 2 and 2 together to realize that's what he had used, but the same effects happened to him on his own skin. But
So
how do you correlate that to actually digesting it or ingesting it and it killing you?
Well, I think he saw it on the side of the road. Remember, they were going and inspecting the whole crime scene?
Right, and
he
where
saw
he had
it on the
his
side of the
shoes.
road.
He
right.
had his shoes right by that
So that's
area.
how he knew that's what he
great.
used. But in season 1, you learn that, was it Harry? Detective Ambrose?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot to do with, like, he knows a lot about plants. Like in season 1, it kind of opens with him talking about a lot of the plants in the scenery.
That would make sense then.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he knows all about it. And it's crazy because when all of this happens, there's kind of like flashes to Julian being in therapy. And with this woman that we come to find out is actually his mom, isn't a therapist. Do you know? You're giving me like a blank look. Am I recapping a show that you didn't watch?
No. It was just really confusing for me at first because even everyone that's living in this, for lack of other words, cult.
Yeah.
It took me a while to kind of follow because there's certain pieces you can reference and go back to, like when they were going to visit Niagara Falls and they're saying, well, how would these quote unquote parents go on this trip and not even pack for
and
the
not
kid?
take a bag? Yeah,
not take a bag. They had their stuff, but they didn't have anything for the boy.
That's kind of how episode 1 ended, was them going through all the stuff that was in they found
all
the car,
evidence. Right?
And they go through everything and they find out that there was no bag for Julian, which in episode 2 we kind of find out that these two people were possibly trying to escape and take Julian with them instead of just taking him to Niagara Falls. That's why there was no bag packed for him, that it was kind of like a hurried up thing. That's the impression right now.
Because my mind, and here's the thing, this is why I have to clarify this confused. Like my mind literally went in like 50 million directions. I'm thinking, okay, so is there going to be a backstory and figure out, okay, what is the name of the mother then as well? Because it didn't give you the name of the two, for lack of others, at that point in time, guardians that were poisoned.
It did. Yeah, I had it in my phone,
They're
but I
pretty
didn't write
minor.
it down. Yeah, it had their names, and it has some others' name too when she appears in court. Yeah,
in court.
It talks about all the names, but again, kind of like 13 Reasons Why, there are so many characters, and I'm also coming off of season 1 that I just binged. So
Yeah.
remembering names is
It's difficult.
Yeah, especially on Benadryl. There's no way that I'm gonna. I barely remember your name, Amy.
It's April.
Oh, April.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Oh,
nice to meet you and work with you.
nice to meet you, Amanda.
You know.
So I'm not really.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
I'm not good with I'm not good with names in real life. So there's no way I'm gonna be good.
Much less in a show.
Yeah, there's gonna be no way that I'm good. I mean, Julian is the kid, which we also kind of from the flashbacks in his therapy session, his mom starts telling him to let the other Julian out when he gets angry.
That is where I was like, okay, all right. So there's a quote where he says, when Shadow Julian, that's what they call it, when Shadow Julian comes knocking, what do you do? This is the mom asking the kid. And he timidly says, I let him in. Who and what is that? What is that supposed to symbolize? There's a lot of symbolism in this show. That's like what his inner demon.
Oh, you were waiting for an answer from me.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the genius sitting right in front of me. Because clearly, my mind is all over the place from this show. I can't grasp exactly the concept and the reality of it yet. Because there's so many pieces. This is why this is a great show for you to watch and delve into. And you gotta. I used to say you have to really pay attention in 13 Reasons Why. I think you really need to in this show.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes you all over the place.
I think it's delving into multiple personalities, maybe some like what's it called when you've got like two sides to you?
Not bipolar.
Bipolar.
Or bipolar. Okay.
Yeah, bipolar. I think that's what it's kind of delving into. But then again, there's also like we find out that the mother can supposedly read minds. Yeah, and this character that keeps coming to Julian in his nightmares in the cloak. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on with this kid that he may have been abused.
That's what I was thinking.
Physically, possibly, and mentally.
Even from the mom, because do you remember, I think it was Detective Ambrose. I don't think it was the
girl?
I don't think it was Heather, the female detective.
You're good with names.
I am good with names, but don't ask me real actor names because then I lose it.
Right.
But I'm good at characters. Where he goes in to asking Julian, did you have something along the lines of a healthy upbringing? Were you abused? And he goes into asking him about his mother.
And
do you remember how he kind of stops? He kind of chokes.
Right.
So
he asks, I forget the exact question, but Julian comes back with, I forget the exact question, but Julian comes back. I mean, he talks about his mom a little bit. Yeah.
But it's pretty vague usually.
Yeah. Plus, in the flashback to therapy, there's some kind of machine that she's using that's like a beat. It's like a loud, like, boom, like that keeps going. And I don't know if she's mentally programming him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know what that machine was.
Like the other people in the cult, I think there's definitely some of that going on.
Yeah, there was definitely...
It's very interesting.
Like they didn't really touch on what that methodic banging was.
They didn't.
And I think that might have been a kind of programming. I think we're going to learn a lot about this relationship between the mother and her son.
And can we even break a second away from that and even go into the backstory behind Detective Heather?
The cult?
With the cult, with her apparent girlfriend, who walked into that huge shed.
Right.
You get to see more of that kind of come to life
at the end of
episode 2, where she kind of breaks away from the rest of them, kind of walking the property to find that shed, walks into it, sees tons of navy large cloths hanging from the ceiling,
and they're all hiding that rock.
Yeah. What's that rock?
I don't know, but this barn or shed or whatever it was where the girlfriend disappeared.
And I'm assuming we never see or hear of her again.
I imagine that's what it is, because one of the first flashbacks that Heather
we're getting good.
That Heather has is her face as she's walking into the barn, and we don't know what that is. And then we see in the flashback where they sneak onto the property. They get caught by that guy. He brings them to the fire, which that's kind of one of the only things I agree with. And I'm not saying that I'm getting into a cult, but which, hey, it might happen. Crazier things have happened. I mean, I'm all hopped up on Benadryl.
Taking 1 foot back, slowly and gradually.
I think one of the cool things that they're doing is they're sitting by the fire and they are burning the one thing, and I'm doing air quotes, as you can see on the YouTube. I know it doesn't really show on the podcast. The one thing that is holding them back. Mm-hmm. And I actually really like that. Right. Yeah. I really like that. Not in a
the symbolism
cult sense.
Of it, absolutely.
Exactly, in the sense of, and we don't know the backstory of the girlfriend and her mom, but she took off her necklace, which was the mom's, and that's what she puts in the fire.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the backstory is, but even Heather says that's your mom's. Yeah. And we kind of figure out that that's what's holding her back, and she puts it in.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that symbolism. Again, not the cult.
Not the setting, but the letting action. Go. Absolutely, I'll agree with you.
What's holding you back?
Right.
I mean, crap. I think we can all do that in our lives.
Can we not?
Or not?
We not?
Or not? Wait, are you saying we shouldn't, or are you saying? I don't know if you're saying can we not?
No, I'm agreeing.
Can we not? What's happening here? Your English is kind of spotty. Oh,
then we should.
Okay, we should.
Take it easy. Maybe English with an accent, un poquito mejor, okay? And some Spanglish.
I love it. We should do half the show in English and half the show in Spanglish.
God, don't tempt me with a good time. I will literally have a ball with that.
So I think that in our lives, that is something that we can do. And, how about like getting together like on a Friday night and just doing a bonfire and everybody throw in like the one thing that's holding you back? I mean, I would probably burn this building to the ground, but no! I'm kidding. For anybody.
Disclaimer. No iHeartMedia employee, please listen. And if you do, it was Brian Fink.
And by the way,
it was Brian Fink.
We are so loud in this podcast room that everybody talks about how they always hear us doing the podcast. I'm like, well, first of all, don't listen. Listen on iHeartRadio. Anyways.
No, right. Just keep walking.
But can you imagine if somebody was walking by the door right when I said I'd probably burn this place down?
HR?
Let me make it clear. That was a joke. That was a complete joke. I would never do anything like that.
God.
Wow. This Benadryl is kicking my ass. If I end up in court, I just want this to be used to say that I was hopped up on Benadryl. I mean, that's all I need.
I'm saying things against my own will.
Exactly.
The little pink pill.
I'm under the influence.
The little pink pill.
So we moved to episode 2.
Yeah.
Where the real mom gets introduced into the picture, because that's how episode 1 ended, was the mom showing up at the police station.
Right. We don't know anything on the dad, right?
No, they don't touch on that. They don't go
into that.
Yeah, right. They don't touch on that. But I mean, again, I think we're going to learn a lot about what goes on.
Oh, I absolutely.
On this cult. What was the name of the cult? It was Mosswood.
Mosswood, you're right. You're right. I was like, I think I missed that.
It totally reminds me of the stuff, and I don't know if you were old enough to know about David Koresh. Did you know about this? So David Koresh was kind of a cult leader. I think it was in Texas. And they all lived in a house, and it was like polygamy and everything. But well, actually, I think everybody had to give their kids to him. I think he was like the dad of like all the it was.
Oh, get out! No.
Yeah, it was great. And then the government stormed it and they burned the place down. You should research it.
I was gonna say, once you said that, I was like, that maybe that kind of sounds familiar, but I wouldn't know enough about it. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, David Koresh.
I'd have to look it up.
Check it out.
Interesting.
But I mean, it also goes to Jim Jones. I mean, Jim Jones was with the Kool-Aid.
I'm familiar with. Yep.
Where was it? Was it Jamaica? No, it wasn't Jamaica. It was somewhere that everybody left the U.S. to go to this place.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the location, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Jim Jones was the same thing.
And it makes
was this cult.
And it makes you wonder. And I say this slightly. It makes you wonder what makes people turn towards that.
So I watched a documentary on it. And it was a really good documentary. You should check it out because there was a lot that went on with Jim Jones. And it kind of seems like it's people that have bottomed out. that don't really have necessarily anything to live for or are going through a lot of stuff, and they're like, okay, and here comes this guy like Jim Jones or David Koresh or even Hitler. Because the same thing can be said about the Germans, where the Germans were so low and so beaten down and going through poverty and everything, that here comes this guy that
a leader, for lack of other, to some, a savior to some,
that's spewing all this stuff that he's going to be able to do, and they're like, well, this guy's going to be able to clean everything up. Why don't we follow him?
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. They join this cult, which I think the Nazis was also, a cult in a way. And that's why Jim Jones leads these people, is they feel they're going to be better, and David Koresh,
same kind
of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's how people get into these gatherings.
Yeah, for lack of other words.
For lack of a better word. And even, did you ever, I know we've talked about it before, did you ever watch The Following with Kevin Bacon?
I remember you talking about it, but I did not.
An amazing show. And again, it's the same thing. They get it's a cult of people that turn out to be like serial killers, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like this religious cult. You should watch The Following. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Just maybe not at 11 o'clock at night, because then I won't sleep.
Yeah, and you probably shouldn't binge like 5 episodes until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But the actor, James Purfoy, who plays the main bad guy, is incredible.
Really?
Creepy AF! He is so good.
Wow.
And what's crazy is he is so good that I actually like him as the villain. Like, I'm actually
like he lives up to what?
Siding with him.
Oh, God.
Even as the villain, as the leader of this cult. Yeah, it's great. You got to watch the show. It only lasted like, I want to say 2 seasons or 2.5 seasons.
So it's doable.
No, but it was really good. Season 2, I think it was 2. It was either 2 or 3 seasons. And as it went on, it kind of
weaseled out.
Yeah, but season 1 was really good. There were a couple of scenes, I think it was season 2, that were, like, there was one scene where I stopped breathing watching the scene.
That intense?
It was so intense. It was incredible. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll need to prep myself for these, or just surround myself with all my stuffed
happy
animals
thoughts.
and happy thoughts.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you what, I even with this and delving into Sinner, I definitely encourage people to watch it. I mean, we're taking it season by season. What's nice about it, too, is, as Brian was saying, like, it's live. So you can keep up with it on a weekly basis, but it plays on very sensitive material. For instance, like you were saying, even on bipolar, like your psyche.
Right.
And I think for me, I think I've told you this before too, not that I choose to watch it, but I can watch blood and guts and all of that stuff and be okay with it, as gross as, like, freakishly, disturbing as it can be. Not to say that it's not real, but there's a element of fakeness to it.
Right.
Shows like this is real.
It's real, yeah.
So that, for me, again, touching on your psyche, freaks the F out of me. And I think that's why I was freaking out when I was texting you that night. Oh my God, I can't go to sleep, and was up until 4 a.m. because my brain was like, oh my God, like it's intense.
And that's my favorite kind of, like, when I'm watching movies, I hate gore because I just think it's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's the real factor, kind of like the movie The Strangers.
Oh God,
where they go like door to door wearing the potato sacks over their head. That that kind of stuff happens and can happen. So that's why, like, that stuff freaks the heck out of me.
Out. Yeah. I was scarred for months after watching that movie. Oh my God.
Well, that's why I'm not biking anymore at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I've literally gotten inside my head of, I'd rather.
That's so term. I was like, you get inside your head, you watch these things, and it taps into your psyche, and it's like, oh my God, this is crazy, because this could be real. It is real.
That's kind of why I stopped watching Mindhunter, which was on Netflix.
I won't watch that. I think you and a few other friends of mine told me about that show, and I'm like, I can't do it. And some people say you're escaping reality. I'm like, no, I just don't want to delve into something like that.
And I've heard it's an incredible show.
Yeah, no, I have too.
But I think I watched 2 episodes, and I was like, listen, I can't be watching stories about serial killers when I'm biking in complete darkness. I can't do that. So my days of biking in complete darkness are over. If something's going to happen to me, I'd rather it happen in the daylight than happen when like nobody's gonna find me for a few hours.
Oh
God! Or find me
days,
at all,
or weeks, or never.
Or find me at all.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, did you notice something? This is just my OCD again, but I'm watching episode 2 of The Sinner, and did you notice that when the mother calls Harry on his cell phone and it wakes him up?
Oh yeah. That
his phone is on vibrate and that wakes him up. Has a phone on vibrate ever woken you up?
If honest to goodness, it has.
Really?
If I, what do they say before you hit REM sleep? If you're at that point where you're just, and it's actually pissed me off because I was close to falling asleep. Wasn't that long ago. It's actually about a month-ish ago. It has, because I put my phone on a wooden table.
Oh, so you hear like a loud vibration.
And I have this thing. Those that are watching.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
Too. It's like a metal. What do you call these?
It's
not
a popper.
A pop socket.
Yeah,
But it's close
it's a
to
pop
it.
socket.
So when you lay it this way and it vibrates, it's actually kind of loud.
Gotcha. Well, his phone didn't have the iHeartRadio pop socket. The metal one, it didn't have that. It just kind of had the normal vibrate. And I'm watching this going.
You can kind of tell from Harry, though, or Detective Ambrose, that he's quite had his. That's another character we didn't really get to delve into today, but you definitely see there's some issues there.
Oh,
going
you know
even
nothing.
Back to his mom. Is this something that was in season 1 too?
You know nothing about his issues. In season 1, you learn a lot about his issues, which it kind of touches on at the beginning of season 2 to kind of.
What, the
tie
house burning,
everything
the mom?
No. That's something new for season 2.
Okay, so you don't even know that yet.
Yeah, no. I don't know the whole story. I don't know. He said she didn't die in the fire, but he saw something. Yeah.
Because he keeps having flashbacks to it more than twice.
Yeah, something happened, which obviously we're going to learn about that. But which if you didn't see season 1, you're not going to know. But at the beginning of season 2, he sees this woman, and then he looks at his nails. And again, you don't know anything about this because in season 1, he's cheating on his wife with this woman.
Detective Ambrose?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's cheating on his wife with this woman who they're into some crazy stuff, like freaky stuff. Like she steps on his nails with high heels.
Oh my God, that's not even pleasant.
And so all the way through season 1, he always has black and blue nails. And at the beginning of season 2, he looks at his nails, if I'm not mistaken, and there's no black and blue. And that's kind of, he sees the woman walking by, and I'm gathering they haven't been together in a while, and that's why his nails aren't messed up. So you know,
bruised.
Yeah, you didn't know anything about that because it's in season 1.
What?
They do like there in one of the episodes of season 1. She's strangling him and he blacks out, and they talk about how she freaks out, and she finally wakes him up, or he regains consciousness, and she's like,
next level-ish.
She's like, you were supposed to give me a safe word. What happened to the safe word? Yeah,
Get out.
Yeah.
This is like 50 Shades times 50.
Season 1, you learn how crazy of a guy Ambrose is. Yeah.
You see glimpses of it, and you can see there's light switches that go on in his head like ever so often. Just observe his mannerisms and face. But
absolutely.
You definitely know and can tell there's something there, but all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So we're 2 episodes into The Sinner.
Yes.
Incredible show.
Already overwhelming.
Oh, already. I mean, that's why you've started taking notes.
I have to, because if not, I can't keep up with your note-taking.
Well, I like to take notes, and I like to have an idea of what I'm going to talk about. Like, so you think you dance, and people farting while they're dancing with each other, which we really don't have that much time to talk to. Talk about.
I know.
Do you have one person that you're going for? Is there somebody?
I'll say this much, since I know we're wrapping it up. Jensen was my girl.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
Jensen was the one that got farted on.
Yeah. I know, how great was that? I was like, oh my God.
Let me ask you,
cute.
as somebody that dances, does that happen? Like, do partners fart while they're in routines?
In my years of dancing, I've never had that either from me or a partner. I mean, you're in the.
I mean, it makes sense as to why it would
you're
happen.
in the middle of movement. You're constantly going, and if you're doing a fouette or a bap ma, and you're doing
exactly those.
You know, I know.
I was doing those last night.
Times.
Yeah, I was. This morning I woke up and did a frappe and a whatever that second one.
Frappe? How was that? Mocha?
It was really good.
Mocha or like
totally
chocolate?
Mocha. But it landed all over me because I was like frappeing. Yeah.
Oh God.
But I could totally see how it could happen because kind of like with running. So It's never happened to me.
Of course.
But there's stories of when you're running a marathon that runners will pee or do other things while they're running because they don't want to stop to go to the bathroom.
So that's just a choice. I feel like you're not going to deliberately fart.
But
I don't think he wanted to. I think it just happened.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
oops.
When you're running, it's something that just comes on
naturally,
and you just let it happen. Whereas
I can't picture a 20-something-year-old, running with some Depends on or something like that because you can't control and do your
the problem
is to hold
when
your
you're
pee
running,
in.
your organs are moving around. Running is really bad for your body, even though it's really good for your body. It's really hard on your body.
Bad, but it does take a toll on your body, specifically your knees.
No, it's really bad for your body. I'm saying now to lose weight and stay fit. Yes, it's good for that, but it is bad for your body, your bones, your knees, as you said. It's bad. Anybody will tell you.
Is this why you bike?
No, I would have still been running if I can, but I did something to my body that I have no idea, no doctors can figure out.
And
now
did you do, Brian?
I don't know. I was training for the Disney Marathon after I ran the half marathon.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And something happened that now I can't even run a mile without something happening. Yeah. I was hiking the Hollywood sign. Going up the Hollywood sign, I was fine. Coming down, my friend almost had to carry me because I was in so much pain. I have no idea what it is.
Snap.
I've had every test possible, and nobody can figure out what it is. Anyways, side note.
Something new on Brian Fink.
When you're running, your organs are shifting into places they're not supposed to be, and that's kind of why you might have to poop or you might have to pee while you're running. Yeah.
I'm getting mind blown right now.
Can't believe you didn't know any of this.
No, I didn't. I knew for the most part it's because you're putting a lot of weight in everything on your feet, and for your knees it's terrible. That's what I try to do where I live. I have a not retention. What's it called?
Lake?
The pool. The pool is where you swim against the current. You fight.
Oh yeah, it's called a pool that you swim against the current.
Okay, smart sass.
So you've got one of those.
Yes, those things. It'll come to me eventually. But swimming this I do know is one of the best forms of exercise.
And it's actually really good to rehab when you're hurt. They say to swim.
Yes. As well.
Absolutely.
But interesting. I didn't.
I don't know how that came up, but
running?
No, swimming.
Are
you on Benadryl? Are you in the middle of a bender too?
It's possible.
So running is So going to the bathroom while you're running, farting while you're dancing. I could see how it could just happen because it's just it just happens. Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't know if it was something that you being a dancer and doing routines and everything, if that's ever happened to you.
Unless if they were a little silent one, I really don't know.
That's so crazy.
I haven't heard any.
Yeah. So
granted, a lot of my work was solo, but the partner work that I would do as well. I never experienced something like that, but that was super comical on the
and
show.
You could hear it.
Oh, you could.
It was so loud.
You could. I'm oh my gosh.
I think,
like I said earlier, talk about comfort to a new level.
Yeah, well, you have to be. Absolutely.
I love that. Well, when your dancing is close and you're spending as many hours as you are together, it just has to develop. If not, you wouldn't even be on the show.
And now that we're in the live shows, do you think it's gotten better?
Oh, I definitely think so. That's what I was getting at, just to even give it a quick 2 cents into so you think you can dance. Look, I still love my girl Jensen. She's got a charm about her. She definitely has talent. She's got something that captivates the audience. But let me tell you, after Monday's show, Janesi and Slavic, they killed their hip-hop routine. You're talking about a full-on contemporary dancer going on stage with Slavic. His expertise or his genre is hip hop, but their chemistry, the movement, having a contemporary dancer do movements that are very much of a pop lock technique, really having to learn how to know and delve into your body and isolate certain parts of it, and she did it so flawlessly.
Yeah, she was in the pocket.
She killed it.
I
killed it.
I don't think they're my pick. I think my picks are either going to be Hannah Leigh and Cole, or they're good.
They're good, but they're so cookie cutter to
They're
me.
Good.
I like to go out of the box.
I think it was Darius and Magda.
Magda.
Yeah.
I was going to actually say in regards to them, because they did a contemporary
The
piece.
violin.
That was our contemporary piece. Can I just say Travis Wall is an effing genius.
And it's so crazy that he came from the show. Like, he was a contestant.
Yep.
And, like, he did the opening piece, didn't he?
Yep, he did too.
Unbelievable.
Travis is a beast.
And for them to be able to do that piece, not only with a prop, but
which is very difficult, mind you. Very difficult.
But a stick that she was holding the
Not even
entire
Twyla, which is easy to move around. That was easily, what, a 3-4 foot glass stick. That was a glass stick.
Was it glass?
It was.
Oh, I didn't know it was glass. I don't think it was 3 or 4 feet. I mean, it was kind
long,
of like
maybe
a composer's,
a yard?
like a violin stick.
I'd have to go back and
called.
look at it, because if you look at it to the stick to body ratio, it was pretty long.
Yeah, but to hold on to that thing in one hand the entire piece and doing all that was, and beyond that, the piece itself was incredible. Like, playing somebody as the violin.
Being the human violin, and depending what the setting was and what the direction of the piece was, at times it was her, and I think it was him, and I think it had to do with the sense of also power and weakness. It was incredible. It was art.
Yeah,
it was
contemporary is definitely my favorite style.
Is it really?
Yeah, and when they go into stuff like ballroom and all that kind of stuff, I kind of just, okay, time for me to do other stuff. Like on my phone, I'll scroll through stuff and just let it happen.
It depends the style, because ballroom is your base.
Right.
Ballroom is your base to paso doble, to samba, to salsa, to cha-cha, to tango. It's your core. Speaking of paso doble, that piece last Monday. It didn't last Monday that thing. It didn't do it for me. But then again, I'm not a big fan of paso doble. It's a little bit too much of sharp, sudden movement and really highlighting your strength, which is difficult, and it's still beautiful in its own sense. It doesn't do much for me, kind of like what you're saying too.
Yeah, I can kind of be a little more attentive to paso doble just because it's so epic and there's so many like wah 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 wah, different stuff. I can kind of watch that because it keeps my attention, but even that,
I feel like I'm watching like a bullfight.
Yeah, well, that's what it's supposed to be. So I can kind of keep my attention to that, but once it gets into like the bass ballroom stuff, I'm just like, and I know it's got to be on the show.
Yeah, you got to have the variety.
Yeah, if the entire show was contemporary and hip hop and even jazz, I'd be cool with that. Good.
Yeah. What I always love, and I've noticed, which I totally get as well, because it's a very different style, and also you need your own training in it, is it touches on everything minus point or ballet, which is crazy to me, because ballet, you don't have, with ballet, you're talking about a different style of shoe. If you notice, they don't really do tap either, unless if it's a tap strong contestant,
right? And
they do solos and they do that, but they don't touch on anything that kind of has a different stylistic twist or technique or training to it, which I get it, to not injure the dancers. But I always find it really interesting that they don't touch into tap or ballet, much less point, but that I get. I guess it's just such a different genre, and the base to learn it is pretty foreign to any other style of dance. This is more of just like a dance observation.
Right.
I almost wish they would, because it would almost add a completely different difficulty level to what the dancers could do.
But I want to say that they do touch on tap, and maybe it is just because they do the solos, the contestants that are from tap do the tap solos. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
They do
of.
In the solos, because I didn't read on it, but just I've watched this show since
the beginning.
Very get-go.
Oh,
yeah.
Benji was one of the original tappers, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, and I want to say that they did.
Oh my God, you remember?
Oh yeah, I'm So You Think You Could Dance, Ride or Die.
All right.
I love the show. I've been watching it since the beginning. Can you believe we're on season 15? They said that at the beginning of the show. I'm like, what?
We're
what?
Old. We're old.
Season 15.
Yeah.
And like American Idol's like season 200.
Oh yeah, I won't even go into American Idol. Yeah, American Idol's literally been around since the Stone Age.
So we're coming up on the end of this month. is gonna be the release of what shows were we watching?
This Is Us.
No.
I
think the Benadryl just kicked in.
Oh God.
I think the Benadryl just kicked
God.
in. No, Ozark. Ozark is gonna. Oh my God.
I'm like, This Is Us is next month. Ozark is the end of this month.
Yes. So at the end of this month.
What's your name?
Ozark. Bob. Nice to meet you. I'm Bob Maluga. Luga.
God, he's dozing out here, guys.
I'm way past. And we've been talking for like 45 minutes. Oh my God, we got to cut this. At Brian Fink, at April on air. Luga. Remember, please subscribe and follow, and you can watch on YouTube. Thank you so much for being part of the Totally Spoiled podcast.
Keep swimming,
I'm going to get into a fetal position. My God.